in terms of Challenge Cup as a whole, we have to talk about some potential big matchups, because something else that we need to point out amongst going through the rules, the tiebreakers, the scheduling of things, we need to chat a little bit about potential big matchups. Something else I think that we need to point out as we're chatting about all those things is that, this is starting a little bit earlier as opposed to last year's Challenge Cup, kind of later in March, and this one's kind of happening in mid-March, and it's going to be going through all the way to May 7th. When we're looking at big matchups happening throughout from March 18th all the way through to May 7th, who are you going to be looking at for games on your calendar to try to circle, Lisa?
We kind of touched on this when we went through each region about kind of who we're looking out for and what we're kind of diving into. So when we talked about the East region between Washington and Gotham, I think they're the top dogs in that East region alongside North Carolina and Orlando Pride. And Washington being the NWSL 2021 champions, target on their back, and Gotham, this team that almost looking to prove themselves, looking to put destiny and their own fate in their own hands. They have new players with Christy Mewis on their squad and Ashlyn Harris and Allie Krieger. So I'm excited for that matchup between Gotham and Washington. The first time they face off in this Challenge Cup is March 25th. I think it'll be a really good game because it's the second weekend of play for both of these squads. So they already have a game under their belt. And then it's like top dog in East region against top dog. So I'm really, really keyed in to see who comes out for this one. And I think both squads will also play their top teams in this matchup on March 25th. Another one that I think a lot of people have circled on their calendar is the expansion sides going at it Saturday, March 19th, opening weekend of the Challenge Cup, San Diego versus Angel City. I cannot tell you who's going to win. I cannot. There's nothing I can do to tell you. But I'm really excited to see what happens because this is also another matchup that will have a lot of eyes on it. And I think that head coaches, Angel City, Freya Coombe, and for San Diego, Casey Stoney, are going to want to show the world what they've been working on, everything that they've built at their respective clubs. And it's the head-to-head clash of the California expansion side. So this one I'm also keyed in on. And then also March 25th, so the second weekend of games, Kansas City. I have 2 Kansas City games circled on the schedule that I'm really hyped to look at because when we looked at the Central region against Chicago, Houston, and Racing Louisville, Kansas City, we both put them through to the semifinals when we just chatted about that. So I want to see how Kansas City does against Chicago because that could be a good matchup. Although Chicago could be a sleeper in this Challenge Cup, I almost want to say they could go out and look to be heavy hitters, or they can kind of sit back and just try to get their footing ahead of the regular season. I want to see what Kansas City can do against Chicago, a very good defensive team, a very good midfield team in Chicago. How can Kansas City play against them? And then also against Houston, I think a team that could be on the same level of Kansas City if things kind of shake out the way that it's written on paper right now. So I want to see how Houston and Kansas City go against each other. I think it'll be really telling kind of formations that come out, tendencies that start to be seen in the March 30th match between Houston and Kansas City on both sides. I want to see what the Dash can do as well, but I'm mostly keyed in on Kansas City. I'm excited to watch this Challenge Cup. A lot of matches for me circled. I'll be calling a handful of them. But for you, Sandra, which ones are you watching besides all of them and all of the Chicago ones?
Besides all of them for CBS Sports, right? I love that you've got not one but 2 Central Region games that are highlighted for you on that large canvas of a Challenge Cup schedule. I like it, Picasso. I'm with you. I think the West Coast rivalry with San Diego and Angel City is one to take a look at. Obviously, the Central Region games I'm excited about as well. But I think when I'm looking at rivalry games, I have to keep that opening weekend rivalry game between the Reign and the Thorns on Friday, March 18th, booked on my calendar. It has been since the Challenge Cup schedule dropped, but I'm looking also later into April a little bit because again, this is a longer Challenge Cup. So I'm looking at that April 3rd matchup between Gotham and North Carolina. I'm a little curious as to how that's going to look like. I'm also a little curious at the personnel that's going to be available, for those matches. We're talking a lot about a Challenge Cup that's going to be taking place between March through April, and in between April, there's going to be a number of players who are off on international duty, right? With the United States Women's National Team announcing friendlies that are going to be taking place in the middle of April. So some of these teams are going to get a look at on the pitch for evaluations of other players in light of maybe key starters or key players who are missing during Challenge Cup. So I'm excited for all of these matches. I'm excited to get a look at all of these clubs out on the pitch, but there can only be one who lifts the cup at the end. Lisa, who do you got?
Oh gosh. Okay. So I mean, I have to do this logically. I had Washington Spirit going through Kansas City and Portland. I'm going to say Gotham. I think Gotham's going to be the number 2 team that gets through the semifinals, and they power through. They make it. They lift the cup at the end. I think they're a hungry team that wants to win. A mix of veterans and players that got a taste of the playoffs in 2021 that want more. They want so much more than that. I'm going Gotham at the end of it all. Sandra, who do you have?
I'm going with the Reign. I'm taking the Reign. I've got winners. I'm the winners coming out of each of those groups, right? I said Gotham. I said I said Kansas City, and I said Reign, and I'm sticking by those. But I think when I'm looking at those 3, it could really be any of them.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna lean into Reign a little bit. I think that they're a little bit disappointed with how their season ended, with nothing to point at and say that that's something that we went out and we got during that season. And I think that they want to continue to build off of that.
Do you think Laura Harvey, it's a lot to do with her, or is it more coming from the players in that sense? And this is just your
I think it's a good
look at.
I think it's a good mix of both. Listen, I'm not gonna come on here and say that this franchise doesn't have anything to look at, period. I'm just looking at their 2021 as a whole. At the end of the day, if Laura Harvey decides to hang them up tomorrow, she could still be one of the winningest coaches in NWSL and hang her hat on that. A coach of the year, hang her hat on that. She's a 2-time Shield winner, hang her hat on that, right? She is a winning coach in this league. But when it comes to 2021, this team really took a turn to sort of make a push towards the end, and they fell short of a Shield, and they fell short of a finals appearance and making a run at that championship. So I would love to see them come out in Challenge Cup and really make some noise and go ahead and lift the cup, whether it's a team that's mixed of veterans and longtime NWSL players and new faces as well. I think they're a fun circus for everyone to sort of join in and watch. So I think they should tune into them, and that's who I'm going with my pick for the cup.
So you got Reign. I'm going with Gotham. We'll see. We'll check back in May 7th and see what happens there. I'm really excited. I mean, Challenge Cup, it is here. It all starts on Friday. We got a lot of games coming at it. This is it. Group stages until the semifinals on May 4th. Top 3 teams in each of the regions. Top team goes through to the semifinal. Second place team goes through. We'll see what happens, Sandra. It's here.
It's here. I'm glad everyone is listening to us and our picks. I can't wait for people to tell us how wrong we are. We love when that happens. We've got a Challenge Cup Weekend 1 preview that's going to be coming out Friday. So please check back in with us as we take a more narrow look at the weekend slate of games that will be taking place.